Hello and welcome to today's tutorial. Today we'll be talking about pad, shaft, rib and basic commands. Basically the gist of it and some common mistakes people make. Once again, if you don't have it here or here, it's called sketch-based features. You can find it right at the bottom of here. The first one is pad, so let's select it. So what does Katya want from us? We need to fill some things. The first thing we need to fill is a profile. We need to select a profile that we want padded. Let's try and make a profile, a 2D profile. Let's just take a regular rectangle. We could have even taken a circle or made ourselves a certain profile. So if we select pad, it automatically selected the profile we wanted to work with, and now it wants us to select the height of the profile. Let's say we want it to go 25 millimeters up. Let's preview it and see it. We have a little box now. Let's zoom in a little bit. It's just a regular box. It's filled from the inside. Now if we don't want that, we can double click this element to get back to the pad, or we can also go here and double click the pad right here. We can select the thickness, check it, and select the thickness of maybe 5 millimeters. Preview it, and now we have thick walls. It's empty from the middle. Now we don't want the thickness. We don't want that. But maybe we want it to be padded downwards. This is the second limit. It's gonna go down and pad down as well. Now let's return this to 0 because we don't want that as well. Oh yeah, the sketch. You can see it's gone, but it's still here. You can select it and right click and just press the hide show to give it back. If you want it or not, you can keep it and get back to be hidden. Let's get back to the pad. There's a little bit more stuff. Mirrored extent, which means that it's gonna go mirrored. The amount that it goes up, it will go down as well in both directions. That's pad. So let's delete this. And let me tell you about some common mistakes. One common mistake that can happen. Let me just get to the planes. There we go. One common mistake that can happen while making a profile, let's make a circle now, is that you put a dot at a random point somewhere that you use as a reference point, but it's still a geometrical element. Now let's try and pad this. It will give us a warning cell saying the selected sketch contains points defined as standard geometrical elements. You must convert them into construction elements. Do you want to continue? If you continue and try to do the pad, it will say we can't do it unless you make the geometrical elements back, if you don't put them back into construction elements. So let's cancel this, get back into our sketch, double click to select the same sketch, and we can delete this, or we can select it to become a construction element. Now when you do that, you will see that it's gone. You can't see it. That means it's a construction element. And we can safely pad it. Let's say we want 10 millimeters of height. Okay, another mistake you could make is if you have a line or a profile that's not closed. Let me show you what I'm thinking of. If we try and pad this, it will say that selected sketch contains several open profiles or some geometry used in construction. Katya doesn't know, it's kind of confused. So you must fix the ambiguity or make them into construction lines. So this will work even if you had something different. Let me try and show you this. Let's say we had a little triangle and we zoom in very closely, turn off snap mode, and not close the profile. Now if we zoom out, it looks good. It all looks nice. We want it to be padded. Katya says the same thing again. It's an open profile now. You gotta fix it. If you don't, the only way it can work in this scenario is if you use thickness and it closes in on itself. But let's say we want this to be fixed. Instead of going like, well, is it here? No? Here? No? There's a different way we can do this. Let me show you. So if you go all the way up to Tools and select Sketch Analysis, it will tell you what's up with your sketches. This is our profile is implicit, which means it's opened. If we select it, actually it's already showing it. This is where it's open. You can see these cyan circles. Select it. We have some options to fix the problem. We can delete it completely or just close it. Now, beware, if your sketch is not constrained as well as you think it is, it will move it slightly. And now it's a fixed profile. It moved probably this a little bit left, or just changed the angle or something. So yeah, watch out. But now it's closed, and if we open it, we can pat it without any warnings. It works. So yeah, watch your points, watch your lines, watch your profiles if they're open or not. Also another little simple thing. If you make two things like this, it's like you've decided your own thickness of walls, so if you pad it, it will give you this with a hole. If you add thickness, it will select the thickness of this and this, which is cool. And again, because this shaft, hole, they're very similar to pad, it's possible to make the same mistake in all of them, and also in rib. So watch yourself, be careful, treat yourself right. That's that for this. Next up is pocket. So if we select the surface and make some kind of shape and select pocket, it will tell us, just like pad, select a profile. Let's select this one, and we can make a little hole or pocket in here. We can select how deep it will go. Let's say we want it to go all the way up to last, which means it'll do it all the way to the end, or we can just select our dimensions again, and we want it to be maybe 5 millimeters. And there we go, we got a little pocket. That's it for pocket, I guess. You can again select the thickness of it. Let me try to select the thickness just so you can see what will change. Let's say thickness of 1. It'll make it from the walls inward, 1 by 1 millimeter. It's literally the opposite of pad, that is pocket. Let's delete everything. Yes. Okay, it's not deleting it. Let's delete the pocket first. Because it's connected to this, we have to delete it first, then we can delete the pad. Next up is shaft. So you will use this a lot if you work with CNC lathe machines or lathe machines. Let's try and make an object that's like a shaft object, like a little cylinder. Let's try and select the outlines of the cylinder, like this. Now this would be the outline. Imagine if you rotated on this axis 360 degrees. That's what this option does. Select our profile. Yep. And now we have to select the axis, the place from which it will be rotating. In this particular place, we will be using the V in the vertical line, and you can see it will make a cylinder. Maybe we don't want the whole cylinder. I'll take only half of it. And let's say, okay, we got half a cylinder, or half of a shaft. If you select the thickness, you will have the walls of it. Let me show you. Preview. Yep, get the walls. So if you made it 360 degrees from the inside, you'll have walls. Let's just delete this and that. Again, you can reverse the direction working. If you reverse it, it'll just make the other half from the other side. That's what it does. It makes it spin in a different direction. Instead of this direction, it will spin in this direction, 180 degrees. That is shaft. Let's make it into 360 so I can show you the next command. It's groove. It's the opposite of shaft. Let's say we want this to be taken off 360 degrees around it. Let's just do that. This much is how much we want. The depth is like 2 millimeters. We get out, select groove, and now because this is a 3D object, we can now point at it and it will give us the X automatically that we can select 260 degrees. There we go. We got it. So pad has the opposite, it takes away material, pocket. Shaft has the opposite, groove. Next up is hole. This is made for standard hole types, so let's make a hole. So when you select this, it's gonna ask you to select the face where you will, or plane in which you will make the hole. This is it. This is where the hole, the center of the hole. We can move it around to be somewhere else, but let's keep it in the center. We can select the diameter. Let's make it 5, and we can select the depth. Or we can actually say up to last, which means it will go all the way to the bottom. I mostly use dimensions, which is blindly going that way. You can select if you want it to be, let me check this out, normal to the surface, which means just goes downwards, not somewhere else, left, right, up, down. And what else? You can also select a sketch where you want it to be positioned. So let's say we don't want it to be here, we want it somewhere specific, somewhere hard to reach. We add a point to that place, and the easiest way to just connect them is like to control left click this and this, select them both, and select this, constraint and constant. That's bad. That's bad. Let's just repeat. So the hole command. Let's first make ourselves a point. This is going to be important later on. There you go. We've made ourselves a point. So if we select our hole command, it says select a face or plane. Optimally select a point or the first to position the sketch. Let's just select the face that we want the hole to be made. We can select the diameter and the depth of the hole. We can make it blind or up to last, which means all the way down here. And we have other different options. Next, let's just make this hole. Let's make it a little bit smaller, like a regular hole. There we go. We got ourselves a hole all the way down there, all the way through. Let's say we want it over here. So let's double click the hole that we selected over here and select the sketch for positioning. Now this is the place where the hole is going to be. Let's say we want here. If it's a tough to reach spot, the easiest way to do it is just do control left click this, so you've selected both of them, and select the coincidence, which will position it right away on that dot. There we go. Now the hole is here. Let's just make it a little bit smaller so it isn't too big. There we go. We got our hole. That's the hole command, basically. Some extra options that you have are the type of hole, which you can see by yourself if you want. It's a different type of hole. I always use simple. And the next one is thread definition. Maybe you want the hole with thread, and you can select the metric type of thread. M1 to M, whatever you want, M64. We don't want threaded. We can also select the bottom to be a V bottom, which the standard is 120 degrees always. Let me actually select the depth to be 5 millimeters, the diameter to be 2, so you can see it a little bit better. We got, as you can see, a hole with a V bottom. That's the whole command. Okay, next up I'm gonna just skip this. Now, the rip command. As you can see, I did a little bit of editing and I already made everything that we need. As you know, you can use pad to go in a straight line, but what if you need to go in a different, not normal straight line? That's when you need to use rip. So what rip asks of you is to select the profile that you want to contour and the curve that it will follow. As you can see, this is how it will look. That's the basics of rip. You need a profile that it's going to keep and a guideline that it will use to keep and follow. I mean, that's all it's going to do is just follow the guideline. I made some kind of shape here and that's it. This just makes a slot similar to Pocket, literally the same, but it will follow a guideline. So you can make more complex objects with it. That is the rip command. The other stuff is a lot more advanced than this, and I'm not going to be talking about it in this video, maybe in a future video if I see that it's important for something special, or maybe in a video project in which I will work on an hour-long project and show how I use it. That might be it all. But that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Keep on grinding, the work shows, my friends.